Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon, a retired New York City police detective with 20 years of law enforcement. And guys and girls, if you like all things true crime related from a police perspective, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you'll get all things DutyRon when I go live or upload another video. And today, this is our second live stream. It's not often I do two in one day, but we are going to talk tonight about the search for Brian Laundrie. As John Walsh called him, dirty laundry. We are going to talk about the search via drone for Brian Laundrie, the importance of drones and what they can bring to the table. That is going to be everything that this stream is pinpointed on. We're not going to go down rabbit holes and talk about some other things. So if you're here to talk about other aspects of it, we're going to have two professional drone pilots, and I have a very, very special guest. You guys haven't seen him in about 2 weeks. And for those of you who are fans of this special guest, you're not going to want to miss him because he is a fan favorite. So guys, all my Patreon supporters, the channel members, the moderators, my replay viewers, and the people who positively interact, thank you so much for being here. Guys and girls, I'm going to show you just a little piece of media. It's going to talk about drones. It's going to talk about how law enforcement is using drones, and we're going to get into it right now. So stick around, watch this media, and then we will have our guests come on and speak. But the professional drone pilots are going to give you a chock full of information. It's going to be very educational, and you guys are not going to want to miss this. So stand by.
Law enforcement agencies are assisting in the search for Brian Laundrie. And ABC Action News reporter McKenna King continues our team coverage live outside the FBI field office in Tampa. And McKenna, the collaboration between the FBI and other agencies is really crucial when it comes to a case like this.
That's exactly right. The search for Brian has brought together both federal and local resources, each of which provides a different set of skills. And when you're searching over 25,000 acres, you need all the help you can get. It's a search area larger than the city of Clearwater, and the terrain inside the Carlton Reserve is rough, to say the least.
It's not only just walking through grass, but this could be, in areas that we can't even access.
For the last 5 days, the Lee County Sheriff's Office has been using their latest drone technology, the Dragonfish, to assist in the search.
It can go over 18.6 miles away from the operator while we're viewing exactly what it's seeing. It has all the capabilities of a helicopter. It has the infrared. It has, the FLIR.
Whether day or night, Sheriff Marcino says there's no hiding from this.
It's able to scan a 25,000 square, parcel that may be underwater. You may have trees, debris, grass, whatever it may be, but still be heat seeking. So if someone happens to be hiding or there is a person somewhere, we're going to find them.
It can stay in the air for up to 2 hours, and it can maneuver to places that a helicopter may not be able to, at a fraction of the cost.
Where a helicopter costs $2,000 an hour, roughly, give or take, our drone is 75 cents an hour.
But whatever the cost, he says they'll do what they can to bring this search to an end.
We want to conclude this investigation. It's tragic. Our thoughts and prayers are with the family, but we will do everything we can to bring closure.
And Sheriff Marcino also tells me that the Lee County Sheriff's Office is the only agency that's assisting in this search that's able to provide a resource like this, proving how important it is that these agencies are able to work together. Reporting live in Tampa, McKenna King.
Let's say, okay, so folks, we heard about the cost factor with drones. 75 cents an hour. That sounds like a pretty cheap cab fare. I don't know about you guys, but it just seems like it's something that is very economical. Denise Spalding, thank you so much for the super chat. That generous $200 super chat. EquuSearch so worthy to our DutyRon. You can't be beat. Thank you so much for that, Denise. Much love and respect to you and your family. I appreciate it. So joining us tonight are two very special guests. Number one is a return. Well, they're both return visitors. One of them is a rookie drone pilot, but he has mad skills. But who I'm going to introduce first is Gene Robinson. Gene, thank you so much for joining us from the great state of Texas. I always appreciate it, and my viewers love to hear what you have to say. Gene, good evening.
Hello, Ron. How are you, sir?
I'm doing really well. I'm doing really well. Now, I know you've been following the Gabby Petito case because you and I have made lots of communication back and forth in regards to standing by for searches potentially in Wyoming. We know that Gabby's been recovered, and since now, services are not really needed there, but now we have this search for Brian Laundrie going on down in the Carlton Reserve. You called it a swamp. And that is what it is, right? A swamp.
It is. I mean, you've got a lot of water areas. You've got, you have a lot of dry land too, but let's face it, Florida is, a pretty swampy area, and it's going to be a really tough search down there.
Yeah, 75% of that reserve is underwater, and you heard it straight from the commander. So, a very challenging search by foot. I don't think it can be done. We see them in those amphibious vehicles and those high raised vehicles that go into the water.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and drones. We're going to talk about it. Let's introduce Chris. He is your young student, but he does have mad skills in the drone area. Chris, thank you for joining from the great state of Tennessee. Welcome in.
Thank you, Ron. How are you?
I'm doing great. And Chris, you're launching your First to Deploy nonprofit. I know you just applied for it, and I'm looking forward to you getting that off the ground. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But Chris, if you can, give us some of your experience with drone, and then, your experience with piloting drones and how long you've been at it. We already know about Gene, but I'm going to get to him in a minute. Just give the audience a little idea of how you got into drones and what your experience is.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been flying drones for about 6 years now. I'd said before, I got drones to use on vacation, and then I realized how much I enjoyed flying them. And as it went on, I realized the benefit of what a drone could do. And when I met Gene showed me a lot, and taught me a whole lot. And I just want to be able to use drones to make a difference in the world. And I've done a lot of research and been able to come up with a lot of different things that I'd like to do. I currently have 3 different drones. I own a Mavic 2 Pro, Mavic 2 Enterprise Advanced, which is drone with thermal and zoom. It's very good for search and rescue. Starting First to Deploy, I just hope to be able to make a difference with search and rescue.
And we did see on our last live stream some of the footage from that Maverick, and I thought it was like a low level entry drone. And Gene corrected me right away. Gene, you quickly corrected me and said, "Oh no, Ron, that's got some pretty good capabilities." What do you have in your arsenal? Because I always like to joke around with you because I know that you have quite a bit. Talk about to the audience what you have, and then we have a special guest who's waiting. He's chomping at the bit, and the ladies love him, so we got to get him in here. So just give the audience a little bit of your equipment that you have, Gene.
Okay, look, I am, a gray beard, as you can see from, the drone industry, and I've got just a little bit of everything. I've got fixed wing, I've got multi-rotors, I've got military grade. And as a matter of fact, Chris even has a military grade that we're trying to kind of incorporate into it. I've got the DJI product, and look, there is absolutely nothing wrong with the DJI product. It's very, very quick. It's very easy to deploy. So it's one of those things that we really don't care what the tool is, as long as we can get it out there quickly, and that we can get it out there to save a life. So all the geopolitical stuff aside, one of the things that we want to do is just go out there and save lives and use whatever tool is necessary. And
Right.
Chris has embraced this. We've had many long philosophical discussions about what works and what doesn't. And what works is what saves lives.
Correct. And I want to tell the audience the conversation that I had with Gene Robinson last week. It was early last week, and this was before Gabby was recovered. It was a phone call of, and this is just a basic background of it. Ron, Gene, I think they need our help in Wyoming. And I said, Gene, I didn't hear anything about it. He goes, I did, and we're going to call him. So we got together with the authorities there. I know Gene was on the phone with Tim and Dave and all of the EquuSearch team. And EquuSearch is a team that you want on your side when you have your loved one missing. And that brings me to my next guest. He is a great, great man. He's got a heart of gold. He is the director of Midwest EquuSearch. There he is, my brother, Dave Rader. How are you, brother?
Good, Ron. How are you? Good to be back.
I'm doing great. Yes, and it's always great to have you here. I mean, I know that you have a busy schedule. You're doing lots of things, and you're always all around and all over the place. So for you to take out your night on a Sunday night, it's greatly appreciated, and my audience loves to hear from you. Dave, I know this is a very, very intertwined case, but what's your take on the Gabby Petito Brian Laundrie? He is outstanding. We have her remains recovered. I was at the memorial service today. Just give a little bit of what your take is on it to the audience from your point of view.
I guess the whole thing is that I want, justice needs to be served in this, and again, he needs to be off the streets and at whatever cost. And again, when you have, I guess, the swampy areas down in Florida, like, again, I guess it just brings me back to Kaylee Anthony and in some of the scenarios that we went through with that little girl. But, just some of the terrain down there is just, it's a beautiful state, to go to and visit, the beaches. But there's some nasty parcels of land down there. And again, I don't think that, with what Gene has to offer and what Chris has to offer, I think all hands on deck on this case is going to be needed. Like I said, it's just nasty land, and you have the swamp buggies and things like that, but nothing beats something from the air like what Gene can provide.
Yeah, and last time we all got together, we spoke about the drone usage with Summer Wells, and that case is not over. We haven't forgotten about it. It's still an active case. Drones have such capabilities to search such a large amount of area in such a small amount of time. Gene, we talked also about the cost factor. I don't remember exactly what that commanding officer said about the helicopters and what that costs per hour, but I do remember that 75 cents factor. Is that a valid figure? Okay.
I will say, being a pilot myself, a general aviation pilot myself, I know what it takes to run a general aviation aircraft. And that's fixed from a fixed wing standpoint. I do know that, say, for example, a Bell Jet Ranger will run you anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 per hour. Wow. Okay. And I do know that a drone that I have with 6 batteries that costs $32,000, even take that into consideration, you are still talking, even if it was double or triple the price as stated of 75 cents per hour. If it was $5 an hour, if it was 400% over what he stated, come on, it's still an economy of scale, and drones can do this. And the one that I'm familiar with, the Autel Dragonfish, and it is a very capable drone. I noticed that John McBride there of Autel was running it, and he's somebody that I know. And you're talking about 2 hours of flying time that can take high resolution imagery of that area. And it is literally based on a battery, that a battery that you can charge up. So yeah, those sorts of economies can be had very easily with drones. And bless his heart, Chris has taken my book First to Deploy, and he has taken it into his company and it should be, a drone should be first to deploy because it is cheap, it's easy, and will establish a baseline.
Yeah, and you emphasize that, and so does when I had conversations with Dave early on when I first met him, which it seems like it was like 10 years ago, but it was only a couple of months ago that we got together. And Dave said, the importance of getting out there fast, search for the missing. It's just such a crucial factor. And as the days go by, and as the hours and minutes and days tick and go and come by, it lowers the odds, unfortunately. And we don't like to talk about these odds, but they are a real factor, right, Dave?
Absolutely. I mean, anytime that you can get the bird up in the air, timing is everything. Let's just face it. I mean, timing is absolutely everything. And the more that you can sit there and get that bird up there while you're trying to get your foot your ATVs going. Again, it's a world of difference. And like I said, even on the Summer Wells case, excuse me, it was absolutely amazing to see what Chris and Gene was doing. It was like a dance.
Yeah, and it was a well choreographed dance from all of what I heard. I mean, the way things went and how everything came together and the amount of ground that was covered. But I wanted Gene to talk a little bit about what goes on after the footage is collected. You see these guys in the back of like a temporary headquarters vehicle or a utility vehicle, and they got the monitors there. Talk about what happens after the footage is collected. Is it just that they're seeing it real time and they're just saying everything's clear, or are they going back into a production area or into a special room where they're looking at this stuff? Can you talk about that without giving the shop up?
You bet. And I think you've got some footage of what we call in the public safety a slide out. That is something that contains all of the equipment, the computers, the monitor. They can even fly from it. This is something that the public safety can use. Now, what we are trying to do is to provide post-process analysis of the imagery that they collect. The screen that you have up here right now is from USR, and this is the very latest, as of today.
Let me know when to play. Should I play it?
Yes, play it. Absolutely play it.
All right.
And what we are doing is we are using FLIR imagery, and we are trying to give public safety every tool that they can use on missions to be able to detect these anomalies, if you will, using FLIR, which is something that the human eye cannot see. And these tools actually are showing where there is a what we call it a hot pocket. And this is something that is 1 inch by 3 inches, and it shows it very clearly. It picks it up.
Is that what we're looking at right here?
That's what we're looking at right there. That is a 1 inch by 3 inch hot pocket. It's a hand warmer, Ron. All it is a little hand warmer. Where you break it open and you rub it together and it starts producing heat.
That's fascinating.
I threw that down on the ground, and this is in the middle of a Texas summer, okay? I mean, and we could still pick this up at 150 feet using a DJI drone with a DJI FLIR.
Where was this hot pocket placed? It looks like a very wooded area with two road, like these are like quad trails maybe, or
it is. It is a very it is at the Forensics Anthropology Research Center. And I actually put the one that you're seeing now is in the road because we end up seeing so many reflections off the road, but it still detected it.
What's the altitude of this, Gene?
150 feet.
Holy crap. And you're seeing a hot pocket in this green circle right here.
1 inch by 3 inch. And I've got to tell you, the folks at USRI, Canada.ca are making this a reality. And this absolutely shows us, if you pick up a temperature spike, I mean, there it is right there on the graph.
Wow.
You cannot miss it.
That's a game.
Whereas if you were looking at this video as you were flying, it would be very easy to miss because it looks a lot like the other indications that you see on the ground.
That is tremendous. And now, is this because of the software technology, or
Yes.
combination of software slash camera technology?
Now, this is I've got to say this is the shortfall of the human eye and the ability for a computer to be able to detect something that is significantly smaller than what we can see. Now, if you were looking at that image as you were flying across it, would you see that little small speck down there? Chances are no.
No way. No, because there's other specks all over, like this one here that I got my cursor over to the right. You take this box and you look right straight over to the opposite side.
Yes,
There's
sir.
hundreds of these
Yes,
little
sir.
specks.
Yes, sir. But if you look at the graph, it shows you on the right, and there's a perfect 3D rendition of the spike that shows up.
Wow. Over here in the right corner.
And it doesn't make any difference whether, and this is the key point, Ron. It doesn't make any difference whether the temperature is 90 degrees Fahrenheit outside or 40 degrees Fahrenheit outside. It detects the anomaly. It detects the difference. And FLIR is great. I bless all the thermographers out there that are, level 3 thermographers, but this takes the temperature behind every pixel to 2 decimal places.
That is insane technology. And I know that Dave Rader is probably just shaking his head because I've never seen this before. Dave, have you seen this?
I actually, I never want to kiss and tell, but I'll tell you what, I came up to my room and he came out the door and he says, "Here, you can come and take a look at this." And he showed me for like a half hour. It was just mind boggling on everything that this man was showing me. It's like, I couldn't comprehend it. I mean, it was just like, it's so simple.
Right.
But again, it seems like it's so complex. So, I mean, to Gene, it was, it's like everyday life. To me, it was just like, holy crap. What am I looking at here? Is this really real? And I'll tell you, it was just, and I told him, I said, this is going to be a game changer. This is absolutely going to be a game changer in the search world. There's no way there's no two ways about this. This is
it's major league game changer. You said it right. I wanted to say hello to the chat. People are asking, is this live? Yes, it is live. We are trying to give you guys a bit of education on the advanced technologies and the advancements of how far the drones have come. When we first heard about drones, it was people being creepy and hovering over pools where girls are in bikinis and checking out people and spying on people. We heard Amazon talk about delivering packages by drones, but we don't hear a lot about it being used to search for missing folks or bad guys that are on the run. And it's being used more and more and being embraced by law enforcement for economic reasons and also for this technology. This is secret squirrel. Like, to me, this is kind of like, I'm looking at this image with all the specs on it, and I just, like Gene said, the human eye is not going to pick this up.
Nope.
I see specs here, I see, and this is just unbelievable. Is this available in helicopters, this kind of technology? Obviously it is, but at a very high cost, right?
No, actually, Ron, we don't even know that this technology is available in helicopters. And look, here is what we are driving toward. I think about 10 years ago, I was in an interview and somebody said, what is the best sensor that you could come up with? And I said, it would be a tricorder. And if anybody is a Star Trek fan, it's one of those little cassette tape style things that they hold up and it makes whirly noises and says, oh yeah, there's a life form out there at 2.4 kilometers and yeah, it's still alive.
Right.
You know, that's where I'm going. That's what I want to see. So these are steps. These are steps that we are taking to get to that point. And I hope I live long enough.
Yeah. And that's why we have the youngin right down below you, Gene. In case you don't live long enough, you were depending on Chris right here to bring that technology fast forward into
that guy right there.
There he is. Yep. Where is he? Where is that son bitch? Right there. No, there. Right. There he is. Chris, you know, talk about what you and Gene, you know, have. You say you have conversations with him all the time, and I know that you guys talk drone stuff. I know you're not talking about chasing girls around, but at the end of the day, this is information that is important for the future. How are you feeling about this stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I'm just ecstatic about where the technology is going to. And just to hit home with what Gene said, you know, I was doing some tests with my Mavic 2 Enterprise Advanced, and at 100 feet in the air, I was detecting the different temperatures in a cigarette butt that was thrown out the window that someone was just smoking going down the road. So, I mean, imagine that. Like, it's insane. You know, if you're looking for someone out in the wilderness and, you know, they were smoking a cigarette 30 minutes ago, you could detect that with the drone 150 feet in the air.
Chris, you should tell them about your locate story with the pink ball.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you know, we went out on an adventure the other day, and I took a friend with me, and we were going to play like a high-tech game of hide and seek with a pink ball that I actually found while searching for summer a few weekends ago. And so I told him, hey, go hide this pink ball. Hide it anywhere you want to. And we were in a pretty big park here in the area. And so he went and hid the ball. I got the drone in the air. I mapped the area out. And in 8 minutes, we flew the whole park. Huge park. You know, I bring the drone back and I send the pictures in, and I actually, you know, I'm in the process of getting locate myself. And so I didn't have it at the moment, but I had a third party that could view the pictures. And
you can say it.
Yeah, so EquuSearch. I sent the pictures up to EquuSearch, and you know, she replied back to me about 15 minutes later and said, "Hey, is this your ball?" And sure enough, there it was from 200 feet in the air. She didn't even know where I was looking. She was in a completely different state, and she found the ball for me. I mean, it was insane. It blew his mind. It's just amazing technology.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that you're taking the video footage, uploading it, and sending it to somebody could be in a different country, could be in a different, and they run it through the locate, and then boom, there you go. So people in the chat are asking, does this technology work for searching for a dead human body? Gene or Dave, anybody, whoever's qualified to take that, because I don't have the answer for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, absolutely, it works because from a physiological standpoint, I can tell you that the human body will lose temperature at about 2 degrees centigrade per hour from ambient, depending upon, you know, what kind of clothes they are. So if you have a body that is 88 degrees, if you will, and they're in snow, 2 degrees per hour, and it will be at ambient. After that, I mean, I don't want to get kind of gruesome about it, but
it's okay.
As decomposition takes place, the body starts producing heat. And that's one of the things that we're studying right now, is just how long that heat will take place and can be discoverable. And we know for a fact right now that we can see a very shallow grave for up to 90 days.
Wow. 90 days.
90 days. I mean, and this has blown our minds, because we looked at it and we thought that, being able to see with near infrared, that we could determine a grave was 2 years old was really, really something, which it is.
Right.
But, we moved on to the next phase, and we're looking at, things that happened more recently, and a shallow grave, that heat of decomposition will show up and is very visible by thermal, using especially the tools that are developed by USRI.ca. And we expect this thing to grow,
Right.
And we expect to get better at what we're seeing. And this has been by a very generous grant from the NIJ, the National Institute of Justice, and we are going to continue to develop it. I've been doing this since 2015, and I hope it continues for a lot longer.
That's fabulous information right there. And for my listening audience, there's over 3,700 folks here. Let me throw a scenario out to you guys. Brian Laundrie's been on the run for a long time. He's been on the run, for potentially weeks here now. And if in fact he ran out into any type of open area, not necessarily over here in the Carlton Swamp area, but if he was to run out into a field and collapsed and died in the field, this technology has the capability to immediately locate that. Let's just say he was laying there. I mean, now we all know that Gabby was found in Wyoming, 250 yards from her vehicle. That's an area where, if they did not have that data, foot searchers, it could take them, or they could never even come across her. I mean, I want you to talk about that recovery with, I know I'm going in two places here, but I know the answer to Brian Laundrie is unequivocally yes. But let's just say, for argument's sake, they threw drones up in in Wyoming, and they were flying around that area. That is not somewhere where hikers would go. It's not somewhere where somebody would pitch a tent. That area was not campable area. This was not where our campers were going. It was off the beaten path. He did it purposely. She was brought there so she wasn't detected. And if it wasn't for that YouTube creator, Red, White, and Bethune, which I had the honor of meeting her today at the funeral service for Gabby, they wouldn't have known to go there. Talk about a drone being launched from the Grand Tetons. How long would it take to cover that complete area?
Well, look, I don't mean to disparage anybody else, but a drone can cover a square mile with both FLIR and RGB in about 25 to 30 minutes.
How long does it take on foot to cover that area?
Oh, shoulder to shoulder. Dave, how long would it take you to cover a mile?
Depending on the thickness of the terrain and what kind of terrain it is. I mean, that's
that was flat area. That was not, very mountainous. It looked like it was a flat plain. There was a stream that went through it, but it was very little. It was a shallow stream to cross over.
I would have to go guess at least 2 days. I mean, to cover it thoroughly, at least.
So that's a huge, huge difference. And the advantage is the whirlybird, right? What did Tim call it? Your toy plane?
My toy plane, yeah. I know I'm going to kick his butt until the day I die over that one. But yeah, the thing is that we have no idea what state her body was in. And I really hate to discuss this because this is really speculation on our part. But I do know from experience with the body farm and the number of days that she was out there and the animals that are in that area, that the predation would have been significant. But by the same token, I can also say that a drone would be very capable of seeing an area of predation like that.
Right, right.
So, again, I do know that they did use drones out there. I just don't know whether the drones were the ones that actually made the discovery or not, or whether, and there's one thing that I need to stress is that it could have been evidentiary clues that led the searchers to her.
Right.
Trace evidence is what we call it.
Right.
You can see areas where animals have gone in and out of specific area simply because there was a very good food source. And
Right.
I hate to say that.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. No, you're being sensitive to her family and for
course.
the viewers. But the thing of it is the video that they received from the YouTuber showed the van and the vehicle that they were in, and I think that they pretty much went from that area and just. It took them less than a day to find her after that video was shared with them. So it could be, like you said, we don't know because we don't have access to the case file. They could have thrown the drone up. They could have done it. There was horseback. We saw the helicopter footage. I played it many times. I'm not going to go into that here, but they did have the horseback. They had foot searchers, and they were also marking areas with spray paint. Usually, Dave, I see your Twyla's crew has those little it's like those little ribbon things that they put on the trail. I guess that's so they don't get lost, or they know what they covered. These guys and gals were using spray paint, and they were spraying some of the trees and the rocks to kind of mark that area off. And everybody got confused and thought, well, those were marking bullet holes, and it looked like there was a hole in one of the trees. And, again, there's so much speculation. Everybody is going haywire with this stuff. But what's important is, I'm just going to finish the thought. What's important is the technology is there, and I do believe that they would utilize it in a setting like that. Go ahead, Gene.
One of the things that I want to say is that there has been a lot of study done on not only actual lost person behavior, but homicides and that sort of thing. It is very difficult. I don't care if it is a very small package, 100 pounds, you're not going to go very far off the road. So the LKP, the last known place, is so key. And one of the things that we've discovered, and I know that Dave can back this up, is that when we know if we have a good, solid LKP, there is every possibility that, a very high possibility that the person that we're looking for is within 1,000 feet of that LKP. It's just, we've got to find them.
We showed the footage of you locating the gentleman that had, I believe, Alzheimer's that went missing, or wasn't it something on a riverbank? I wish I still had that saved, but that was a great.
Which case, Ron? Which case?
It was a case that we showed. It was on your YouTube channel, so everybody can go over to Gene's YouTube channel. I'm going to link it here. I'm hoping that thousands of people go over there and watch your footage. It was one of the cases, one of the many that you have been on. And it was a missing elderly gentleman, and he was on like a riverbank, and it was a little dot, and it showed it was the thermal, I guess, that picked it up, and it was a little dot, and you guys were instrumental in recovering, and you flew that mission, one of your many successful missions. And I think that's why, Gene, you and guys like Chris are, Dave Rader, Tim Miller, are just so proud and honored to have guys like you. And again, we talked about this before we went live. It's a thankless job because you're there to do what you got to do, and then you go back home, and then you're ready for your next mission. So I was so impressed with the phone call I received from you. And I know you don't like this attention, but when you called me, I was in the middle of a busy day, and I had 3 phones up to my ear. I took your call, and what I said to myself is, I'm so happy that I'm now involved with EquuSearch Midwest as the law enforcement liaison because of calls like that. Like, you called me and you're like, hey, they need us. Northport PD needs us, and we're going to go and we're going to help them. And it just gave me a really great feeling that, like, hey, these guys are the real deal. And that's why I encourage people to go over to EquuSearch Midwest, go over to Gene's. I'm going to link Gene's nonprofit. I please beg you guys to go over and donate to these guys. And the next live stream that I do with Dave Rader is going to be it's going to be for his nonprofit. It's going to be every super chat that comes in gets 100% donated to EquuSearch Midwest. These guys and gals who run behind the scenes, Dave has women, men, guys like myself, Gene, Linda behind the scenes, and Twyla, and all these great people that take hours and hours out of their time to do what they got to do. Chris has been on the phone with me and Dave and Gene, like, I mean, night and day. This kid is like, he's like one of those, Jack in the Box. You just keep turning and he keeps going. So that's great stuff. And everybody that's here in this chat knows that. What are you pointing to, Gene? Who are you pointing
to? This whole thing with the video camera. I'm trying to point to Dave because let me tell you what, the guy is tireless. And I am just a small part of what Dave does. Dave is out there. He is coordinating. He is dealing with people. He is dealing with, you want to talk about herding kittens. This man is a master wrangler of felines. So, Dave and I have had many a long talk over adult beverage, and, it's hard. It's hard. I mean, it's damn difficult. Pardon my French, but you know what? Dave is out there. He is doing it. And let me tell you what, the big man has got a big load, and he could use any help that he can get to help carry that load.
Thanks.
Yeah, and that's why I stepped up.
It's a team effort.
It's definitely a team effort. I 100% agree with that. I said to myself, it's a team effort, but I need to step up and do my part. That's why Chris, hours and hours of his time searching for summer wells and doing behind the scenes. I mean, between Dave, Chris, Twyla, and all the people who came out that last time down into East Tennessee, including Gene, he flew in there. He got picked up by Chris. Chris, you picked him up in a limo, right? He requested that. He said he wanted a limo with champagne. So Chris, all kidding aside, Chris picked him up in his private vehicle at the airport and brought him on site. We did everything under the, we were flying under the radar. Gene's going to like this. We flew under the radar. We came in there. We worked with the Hawkins County sheriffs, and TBI was behind the scenes, and that's how it's supposed to go, and again, I have to reiterate, the search for summer wells is not over by any means. And Orrin and Orson West down in California, the Bakersfield 3, there's going to be stuff going on about that in the near future. There's going to be searches going on and things of that nature. We have so much in the pot, and Dave is there with that big spoon just stirring it, but we need that.
Speaking of that, Ron, I just want to sit there and say these guys are like wait a minute, over there. These guys are like my peas and carrots.
There you go. The seasoning and extra goodness that goes into this to the soup. But no, seriously, I mean, listen, the Gabby Petito case has stirred up the interest of not just America, of international, worldwide. But it stirred up so many people who are, web sleuths that are out there looking at theories and ideas and critiquing police and, going over what should be done and what shouldn't be done. I say this, the folks that are down there, boots on the ground, searching in this swampy area at the Carlton Reserve, my heart breaks for them because they're in dangerous area. I don't know if you guys know about that area. Gene, I know you're well traveled, and so are you, Dave and Chris. I mean, I'm a New Yorker. I don't really get out of this area too much, and it's a concrete jungle here. So I'm not really too privy on the alligators and the snakes and all the stuff, but we hear about it. It's dangerous. So those men and women who are out there, and it looks like people are asking in the chat, is EquuSearch ready, willing, and able to search for Brian Laundrie? And I think I can answer that at this time. The FBI and the local authorities are doing it on their own. They're not asking for outside help at this time. I don't know if Gene or Dave has any intel on that, but a lot of the viewers are asking those questions. Is EquuSearch involved, or would they get involved in the search for Brian Laundrie?
Dave, if I could, I think this is an individual that is going to be categorized as a willfully missing. A willfully missing individual is going to be very, very difficult for us to locate, simply because he is going to be listening to all the media. He is going to be acting on everything that he hears, and he's going to be reacting as he feels appropriate to keep himself willfully missing. And this is one of the most difficult things. And I think Dave will agree with me. I mean, we can't chase people down. I mean, that's just beyond our purview. And, it's so difficult just to get out there and find people who are stationary, much less trying to evade.
Yeah, Dave,
the other thing too is, Gene, is that I want to sit there and comment on that. Is you're absolutely correct. The other thing too is that we don't know if he's armed, so we don't want to sit there and put our search team in a precarious situation to where we're going to lose other people. So again, I think that I don't think that I would put my searchers, or I feel comfortable, unless we know that we're looking for his body. That number one. Number two is that the drone technology is to me is going to be the key in this scenario, because you're going to keep people out of harm's way. You locate the scenario, the subject,
absolutely,
and then you can sit there and direct law enforcement that has the manpower, and that's what they're trained to do, is to go in and capture. We're just not designed to do that.
I think, gentlemen, you guys hit on, Gene and Dave, you hit on a great point here. The reason law enforcement and the FBI are not utilizing outside sources, like nonprofits and people who search for the missing, because this is a person who is on his own from the beginning, has been evading police. Yes. He's on the run. He is not missing, although we hear the media talk about he's missing and this, that, and the other. This is a subject who's on the run. He's trying to evade prosecution, and he is in law enforcement's eyes the number one suspect, and he is not a person of interest. That is just such a bullshit term. He is suspect numero uno, and like you said, we don't need to be going out there and searching for somebody who could be armed and dangerous. Nobody knows if he has a handgun. Nobody knows if he is alive or dead. And again, I'm going to show a little video here. It's just going to give you guys a background on law enforcement. It's going to show drones. This is just a 1-minute break. If anybody needs to take a bathroom break, this is just going to be a quickie for the audience.
Take this wood field. You're going to see the trail once you get there, but this is going to intertwine.
Get you out. So two vehicles stay together.
look at some of that terrain, Gene, Dave. I know you guys are Chris. I know you're still watching. I mean, this is 75% of what we're looking at. It's just underwater. That swampy area is just unbelievable. And I just can't believe that this search has gone on this long for him in this area. I know it's 25,000 square feet, but it's amazing that the amount of money and resources that are wasting on this scumbag.
10 feet away in that palmetto, and you're hidden.
Say again?
10 feet away in that palmetto, and you're hidden.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Dave, I think Dave popped back out, and then now he's back in. I'm just going to let this play because the rest of this is drone footage, and I want everybody to see this. He's fumbling with, it looks like some type of controller for drone, Gene, right?
Yeah, controller.
Okay. These are our Brian buddy, right? This is where Brian comes in.
Love me some dogs.
Here we go. What are we looking at here, Gene?
Okay, this is a very typical slide out sort of situation that most drone teams are going toward. It's very easily adaptable to an SUV, like say for example a Ford Explorer or a pickup truck, and they're very capable. They have a big screen TV. They have a lot of the abilities that we have with our mobile command units. You don't have a place to sit down. I mean, it's very, very, very mobile.
Yeah,
so
bugs biting at you. What is a setup like? Something like this looks. I mean, it looks like there's like a utility drawer underneath it. That's just probably something to set it up on. But what is that? It looks like a whole just power strip there. And really, what is that? Just a monitor hooked into the controller? And is there a computer?
It's actually a whole system that they're becoming more and more customized. If you can see all the telemetry and everything in there on the screen. That can also be split off so that another screen can go to the outside so that people of interest, say for your incident command and that sort of thing, right, they can also watch what's going on with the drone without having to interrupt the pilot. The more important thing with this is that the FAA wants the pilot to be able to concentrate on what they're doing and be safe.
Gotcha.
So that's what these systems end up being, is kind of a mobile distribution system of data.
Right.
Because what you're seeing on the screen is the data that the drone can bring down to the ground.
So
that's what they can use to make decisions with.
Okay, correct. And is he looking at this drone in the lower left corner? It looks like a plane in the lower left corner of the screen here.
Okay, that lower left corner is the map. That's your nav map, and it tells you exactly where the drone is so that you can, if the drone does see something, you have a landmark that you can go to, and you can say, okay, I'm in this quadrant, I'm in this sector, I've got something right here. Here are the coordinates, and you can actually send the coordinates to your ground team so that they can respond in a really, really efficient manner.
Well, this is awesome technology, and I'm so glad that the police are embracing this. You know, it's really hard to teach an old dog new tricks, right? But I think that they're slowly but surely seeing that this is a very efficient way to search for missing and for folks who are on the run, even at perps.
What I want to say is that all those guys in Northport Police that are out there doing that, this is above and beyond their regular duties.
Right.
These are patrol officers. These are officers that are in homicide, investigation, CID, and they come out and do this as an extra duty. So kudos to those guys that want to go out there and learn this stuff so that they can make effective use of it.
Yeah, and I saw some footage on your website, and we're going to get to you, Chris. I know you're chomping at the bit to get in here. I saw it on your website, Gene. You were out with, I believe, someone from the Texas authorities in your area, and it was a detective well, actually, I think it was two detectives, and you called one of them by his first name, and you caught yourself and said, "Oh, Detective Salas," or whatever it was. But they were out there with
Trace Shannon.
Trey Shannon. Okay, listen, I'm old, man. My brain is like a sponge. I absorb stuff and then it just goes away. But yeah, that was a great piece of footage that you had on there, and that goes to show you that here's the regular guys who are out investigating homicides and things of that nature, and now they're embracing the drones.
Yeah, exactly.
Chris, I wanted to go to you because I feel like I've left you out here, and I know I'm going to get some shit for it. Everyone's going to be like, "Hey, what about Chris?" You live in the area where Summerwells is gone missing in East Tennessee, right? We're not going to give up your home location because I don't want a bunch of people showing up at your door. But how have the authorities over there embraced the drone? You've been up flying your drones in that area. What was some of the feedback you were getting from local authorities on the Summerwells search?
Yeah, absolutely. So we worked with a detective from the Hawkins County Sheriff's Department, and I think he was really surprised at what we could do with the drone, and I think the system locate really blew his mind. They don't have that a lot here. I've spoke with several different agencies, and most of them have heard of locate, but none of them actually are utilizing locate. So that's something that I hope to bring to the table with First to Deploy is to build something like what we just saw, a mobile command unit, and have it ready in East Tennessee for when cases like Summer happen, and a little girl goes missing, we can get out there very quickly and try to help save a life. But I definitely think that it's they're embracing it and they would like to see more of it.
That's a good sign because some of the smaller departments they have a hard time embracing this technology, and it's also budget constraints. Gene, you talked about how much the stuff costs. Here's a question, and it came in the form of a super chat. Sherry in Central Virginia sends in a $20 super chat, and she says, "Hey, is it possible Brian Laundrie could hide from thermal imaging by covering himself with an emergency blanket or thermal blanket? The helicopter has been circling the Carlton Reserve nightly." Any thoughts on that, Gene or Chris?
Yeah, look. Any technology can be circumvented. I mean, all you have to do is look at Afghanistan or Iraq. They actually brought down the Beast of Kandahar, the X-47, with a damn Radio Shack transistor radio. Give me a freaking break, right? So, if you keep up with it, there are certainly ways to circumvent any technology. And I'm sure that if he has an aluminized blanket, which is, as a firefighter, I know that that's something that we give our people on wildland fires, is aluminized blanket. You throw it over yourself, and you know what? You can't see anything. And, it's something that we have just, as you play this cat and mouse game, is that, when they move from one sector to another to try to evade, hopefully you can pick up a signature. And that's why we have to be so persistent in what we do.
Yeah, I mean, persistence oftentimes pays off. Joe Murray's in the chat. He's recovering from COVID, and he was at the funeral today for Gabby Petito with his better half. Joe Murray sends in a $5 super chat, and he says, "Let's get the funding for our search teams." This is his petition. We're going to start pumping this petition to Congress to get funding for Texas EquuSearch. So there's the link. Everyone go and click on that. Don't do it now because we want you guys to hang out here with us. We got another 5 minutes. I want to take some questions from the audience. So Gene, Chris, and Mr. Dave Rader, would you mind taking a couple of questions?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Thank you, gentlemen. I know Gene. Gene sometimes, he has to get to bed. He gets up early. He's got classes to teach. But Dave is like the Energizer Bunny, and he's got a hell of a tan. He's been working on his tan like a madman. So Dave is always ready for questions. So if anybody wants to post some questions, guys, I always like to throw in a couple of little jokes. We talk about such difficult things, talking about the missing and folks who might have met their demise while on the run, or who have wandered out, and we come across them. It's a tough job that we do. So I find with my police career how we got through it is by throwing a little humor in every once in a while. And some people don't understand it. We are speaking about very sensitive topics, but it's always good to throw a little humor in there, and that's what's important. All right, let's see what we got. This one comes in from I don't even want to tackle that name. What makes you think he's hiding and not being moved around and hidden by family members? Nobody thinks that. I want to answer that because it's a little police question. Anything is possible. He could be anywhere. He could be in Mexico. He could be in Canada. He could be on a boat somewhere. Our crime scene investigator, Ed Wallace, he said the family's got boats. If they put him in a boat, go out and be undetected out anywhere. From Florida, it's a 90-minute ride to the Bahamas. I know you need a passport to move freely about when you go into other countries, but anybody's guess is as good as anybody else's. And listen, I'm always open to any theories and any type of stuff like that. But when it gets to be a little wild and outlandish, then I got to discount it a little bit. Radar CP sends in a $20 super chat and says, what's the possibility that there are trail cameras in the reserve, such as agencies doing environmental studies and such? Might that have captured Brian, or could it have captured him? Maybe that's why they're concentrating in that area. Dave, do you have any thoughts on why they're focusing so strongly on the Carlton Reserve?
I mean, the only thing that I can think of is and what I've heard is that there's intelligence that points them in that direction and in that particular area. So in order for them to use that kind of this amount of manpower and spend this kind of resources, they have to have something that is absolutely spot on for them to be putting them all of this into this area.
Yeah, I say from a law enforcement standpoint, and Gene and Chris, about this, these resources are not unlimited to the Northport Police Department. The Fish and Wildlife guys, the Park Service, they look at their budgets very closely. So for them to concentrate such a massive search effort, I have to think from my law enforcement sense that they have some type of concrete evidence or something that's leading them to try to cover that whole 25,000 square foot, humongous, massive, as Gene calls it, a swamp. Some people said, DutyRon, text messages, emails to my website. Could it be that the Northport Police Department is so embarrassed that they let him slip away, that they're putting on a show of shock and awe? I said no right away. Gene's shaking his head. Dave's shaking his head. Chris is just saying, no way. It's Dave. I mean, they don't just say, hey, let's throw the kitchen sink, as you say, at this just to waste the money like that. So
they don't have it to spend. I mean, why would they put on a dog and pony show when they don't have it to begin with? So no, I don't see that at all.
And my good friend Jen Lowe, who's a moderator and a channel member, she is in Colorado, and you know what she said? I hope he doesn't come to Colorado. We got enough death here to handle on our own. Keep him out of Colorado. I agree with you, Jen Lowe. Let me say hello to people in the chat. Let's do a roll call really quick. There's 4,500, 4,600 folks here. Let me know where you're watching. And if you are new, please put new in the chat so we could say hello to you. I'm going to encourage everyone to go over to RP Search Services, Dave Rader's EquuSearch Midwest, and support Chris First to Deploy when he gets his website going and his 501c3 nonprofit going. I'm going to link all of these gentlemen's locations in the description on how you can get a hold of them and how you could support them. Hello from Tennessee, Lebanon, Tennessee. Good to see you from New Jersey. Hello from Angela from New York. Hello, neighbor. Oak Island, North Carolina. Factual breakdown. Always great to see you. Wisconsin, the cheese state. Good to see you, Wisconsin. Thank you for joining from St. Louis, British Columbia, Canada. Texas, the great state of Texas. You got to love the folks from Texas, right, Gene? New from East Tennessee, Tina, thank you for joining. Hello from Connecticut. Just want to see if anybody's new. Hello from South Carolina, Allentown, Pennsylvania. Great to see you. Thank you. New from New Jersey. Hi, Randy. Thank you for joining. Alabama. Good to see you, Carol. Thank you for joining. Scranton, Pennsylvania. That's the Michael Scott Paper Company from Scranton, Pennsylvania. Erie, Pennsylvania. Ohio. That's Dave's home state. Welcome from Japan. Wow. We have I have a friend from Osaka, Japan. Welcome. Hello from Jax, North Carolina. Good to see you. Hi, Colorado. Wow. A lot of people from all over the place. Australia. Put another prawn on the Barbie. Yeah.
See, all of those places you mentioned, except for Australia and Japan, I have flown missions in.
Wow. That's fantastic. I mean, Gene, you get around. You've been doing this a long time, and that's the great part is that you have been to other countries. Hello from the UK. Thank you for joining. All right, I'm going to wrap up the roll call. I think that was a pretty damn good one. There was lots of people, and if I didn't get to you, I apologize. But we thank you, and I just don't want to make this 30 minutes of saying hello to folks. But the roll call is important to me because it lets me connect with you guys. This is a live interactive video. It's not an uploaded video where you have no say. I like to get the questions, and I like for you guys to pick apart the brains of the experts that I have. These are two drone pilots who, if I had a loved one missing, I'd want Gene and Chris on it. And I definitely want Dave to be there, because when you got Dave, Gene, and the whole team coming together, the ladies, all the ground searchers, Twyla is not feeling well. I asked her to come by tonight, and she said that she's got some things going on with her and her family. So we're going to send prayers and positive vibes to Twyla for everything to go well. Oh, look, there's Sheila from Ireland. Hello, Sheila. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. Any other things that we can add to the search for Brian Laundrie? Drone-wise, I really feel strongly that drones are going to play a big part in this after a little bit. But Dave and Gene, I'll let you go first. Dave, what do you think? Where do you think we're going with this search? How long can they keep it up over there, or are they going to have to expand it somewhere else?
I mean, as long as the their intel is still pointing them in the right direction, I don't think that they're ever going to give up. I mean, 25,000 acres, that's a boatload of land. But again, look at what they're covering it with, as far as with the drone technology, and also with the foot, the swamp buggies and things like that. So hopefully they've got this. They've got him literally wrangled into a certain scenario in that noose is slowly but surely tightening up. That's again, I think that they're throwing everything at it that they possibly can. And I don't see them going anywhere until they're completely satisfied that they've that he's not there. It's one of those scenarios where he's either there or he's not there. But I think, again, with them throwing everything at it that they're throwing at it, they must have some damn good intel that's saying that he's still somewhere in the confines of that swamp area.
Right, and as you say, they know where he's not, and that's what they're doing right now. They're eliminating that. Gene, you got any ideas on what could be next here?
Look, one of the things that we pointed out in this podcast early on is that drones are cheap. And that's one thing that, as a persistent asset, that they could keep up, and they could send people out there and let the drone fly,
right,
and just look and wait for him to make the slip. I mean, one of your callers said, hey, he could put a thermal blanket on, and you're absolutely right. He could cover up. But all we need to do is catch one slip. And the drones can do that because they provide a persistent stare. Certainly you have to have people to monitor and that sort of thing, but it's significantly cheaper than a helo.
Right.
And I think that they will continue that. There are many sort of hypotheses as where he could be, but you got to start with the last known place, and we'll just go from there. But what we do know is that time will tell.
Yeah.
And time will always tell us the truth.
And I like what you said, Gene, about one slip up. You always look for that one little mistake. And I said this earlier on in some of my earlier videos. We as law enforcement hope that he made mistakes before he lawyered up, because once he got that lawyer, he was being advised legally on what not to do. So I'm hoping that he made mistakes prior to getting the lawyer. Chris, what's your take on this? I know you're following this case pretty closely. What do you think is next, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just think you need to get more drones in the air, to be honest. It's very important that they, like Dave said, they continue to tighten the noose around him. And I think it's eventually he will break. He will make a mistake. And at that point, they're going to find him.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And I want to get to these super chats because there was a bunch of them. Jennifer Nobles, that's my good friend from Bakersfield, California. She's invested in the Orrin and Orson West case and the Bakersfield 3. She says to Dave, approximately how long does EquuSearch stay searching on a case? Do they, on a case they go search for? Hold on, I messed that up. Stop laughing, Gene.
I'm sorry.
Approximately how long does EquuSearch stay searching on a case they go searching for? Question mark. Since you do this based on your own money and donations, I think we need to spread the awareness further of what you do. Very good question. And let's see who's going to take that answer. Dave, this is you. This is for the guy with the 28-inch guns.
Yeah. So, again, as long as law enforcement keeps feeding us, we'll keep coming back to the table. So, again, I've been down to Tennessee looking for a little summer now 3 different times, and again, I'll go back as many times as I need to go until we come up with some sort of a solution. And again, even if we run out of money, these people that are behind me in this organization do it because they want to do it. Their heart is in the right spot. So we've had many a new searchers, and I'll tell you the last time, and I'll tell you what, boy, were they impressed me. I mean, we were in some really crappy areas, and I'll tell you what, it was incredible on the people that got sick, and one had to go to the hospital, and it's just their drive was just insane. So as many times as we need to go back, we will absolutely do so, 100%.
And I know that to be 1,000% true, because I haven't gone many days without speaking to Dave. Recently, he's just been very busy with other things. So for the last 3 or 4 days, I haven't really spoken with him on a regular basis. But tonight, before we went live, I sent him crying emojis like, where are you, brother? What is going on? So it's almost like I was like a scorned lover with Dave. I was like, where have you been? Where have you been, bro? But I know that you're busy. I know you got a lot of things going on behind the scenes. I am going to be getting a whole batch of wristbands. Lost is not alone. I'm going to be getting 300 of these. I encourage you guys to request your wristband orders. I'm going to have them on my website, and you guys can go on there and purchase them directly. I'm going to have Josh add them onto my website. It's a fundraiser for EquuSearch, and that's why I am going to be charging $10 each wristband, because every dime of the $10 for this wristband goes to Dave Rader, and I'm hoping to collect $3,000 with the 300 wristbands that I'm getting on a shipment from Dave greater, it's going to go 100% to EquuSearch. So if anybody wants one of these and wants to pay a little bit of extra money to have it go to an organization that searches for our missing and that funds guys like Gene and Chris to come out and search for the missing, I please encourage you to go to DutyRon.com and send a request. Tell me how many you want, what you're looking for, and then leave your address and I'll give you payment instructions. I think that's enough. We did an hour. I want to say this. I feel Brian Laundrie has been on the run from the get-go. When he left his girlfriend and what he did to her, and when he left her and drove home and laid his head down on his pillow nightly for 10 consecutive days before Gabby Petito's mom, Nicole, called the Suffolk County Police, which is right here in my hometown. I have friends who are Suffolk County police officers and detectives. And when he did that, I felt he was, again, guilty 100 gazillion% of her demise. And I'm hoping that he's going to be alive to face the music, but I don't think that in my mind that's what we're going to see here. And unfortunately, until we either find him or find out what happened to him, the search has to continue. And yes, he is a piece of crap. He is a scumbag. He is all of the above. But you know what? There's hundreds of thousands of those same scumbags walking amongst us. And that's why I tell you, as a parent, as a human being, be careful of who you deal with. Do not let your guard down. And it's important that everybody is hypersensitive and aware of what's going on around you. So everyone's asking, Gene, are you okay? Hold on. See, this is how people are. Marlena Cantu says, Gene, are you okay? It's past this bedtime.
You know, you cannot, if you have any sort of humanity, you cannot not be invested in every one of these things. And I've got to tell you, Summerwell's case, when we discussed the scenarios that went on with that, I've got to tell you, you know, I have a service dog, and you know, he really is good, and I'll introduce Gunny one of these days. And I hate to say PTSD, but you know, when you go out and you look for a beautiful little child, and it's rough. I've got to tell you that children probably affect me the most out of all the searches that we've done. And it really kind of angers me that when, you know, people try to say that this was a little blonde-haired, blue-eyed kid, but you know what? Tiki Bugs, you know, the little African-American child that we went looking for, that we found her in the river. You know, I react the same way. I'm sorry. You know, it's very emotional, and it's something that, you know, I have to, as a combat veteran, I have to say, you know what, I'm just going to cover my eyes, and I'm going to compartmentalize that. And, you know, I'll be okay. I'm fine. You know, but it's tucked away in a little box.
Right.
Thank you very much, listener, for asking about me. I appreciate that.
Yeah. People, you know, I have the most caring audience and most engaging. I feel that the Crime Time with DutyRon audience is by far the best on YouTube. And Dave, you made that mention to me several times in conversations privately. Ron, you've got some of the greatest people out there. So I tip my cap to my audience, the folks who stand by all of the guests that I have come on and support. Barbara was on with me, and she said that she received tons of emails. My crime scene specialist, Ed Wallace, who's been on with me two videos in a row, and he said, Ron, I have literally received hundreds of messages of thank yous and kind words. So he was blown away, and I had to go out and buy him a microphone, because he said the next time I want to come on, I want to have a proper microphone. So I bought him a desk mic and a little pick mic. So when it came in the mail, he was like, oh, that was so nice. How much do I owe you? And I said, just keep coming on the show. That's all you got to keep doing. But anyways, I want to let you guys go. Thank you, Dave, Chris, and Gene, again, for taking an hour out of your time on a Sunday night. I know that you guys are relentless in what you do. You are so passionate about your work of finding the missing. Gene is has his nonprofit. I'm going to link that in the description below. RP Search Services. And I know it was, you were going to get mad at me if I didn't say it right. I did. I got it right, Gene?
You did. You did. You're perfect.
Shit, yeah.
RP Search Service. Actually, you have to leave the S off.
Okay, well,
rpsearchservice.org is the website.
And I'm gonna link it down in the description. Dave Rader is Midwest EquuSearch, and he's got his Facebook groups. I have a ton of his stuff linked below. Make sure you subscribe to me on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, all one word. And I'm on LinkedIn, believe it or not. You can check me out over there. And DutyRon.com is one-stop shopping for everything. Chris, thank you for taking out your time. Gentlemen, as I like to end all these things, God bless the world. God bless the United States of America. And God bless each and every one of us here in the chat tonight and all victims of crime and their family, but especially tonight, Gabby Petito's family, her mom, Nicole, her dad, Joe, and Jimmy. They are needing us to pray for them and send them strength. So I hope that each and every one of you will take out a moment to say a prayer and keep them in your heart and in your wishes. Guys, good night from New York, and thank you for joining. Peace and love.